Hey, I'm Ken Vermeille, and this is another episode of App-Solutely. Today, we're going to talk about how to build a top-tier onboarding process for your mobile app. Now, if you are listening to this on Spotify, then know that we have a couple of visuals. So run on over to the YouTube. I believe that the Spotify will also have video there. So check it out and let's get started. All right. So one of the most important things that you need to understand when having your app is that people will download your app and they'll do something else immediately after. Your onboarding process needs to be able to capture their attention and get them to get to the value of your app as soon as possible. Now, the mistake that a lot of apps make is that there are a lot of assumptions that happen. You have this understanding of who your target market is. You know that they have a problem, but because it's a mobile app, you don't understand their context. They can be at the grocery store, they could be at the laundromat, they could be doing a variety of things. And that's why onboarding is important. The onboarding process orients your users to your application. It gets them to value. And ultimately, a great onboarding process ensures that you make a lot of money. But first, who am I? I'm Ken Vermeille, the CEO of Vermilion Sky. We help people build mobile apps. We work with startups between $1 million and $10 million in funding, and a little bit less if you're actually bringing in revenue. So let's jump right into this. Onboarding is important. Please invest time in building a great onboarding process. Onboarding is important because if you get this right, you'll keep most of the people who download your app. People will download your app. They're coming from the App Store. They're in their context. And if you have a poor onboarding experience, you're going to lose about 80% of the people who come from the App Store downloading your app and trying to use it. The other thing is, if you have a poor onboarding experience, people will forget about your app. So make sure you spend time doing it. The most important part of onboarding is showcasing your value proposition. When somebody gets into your app, get them to value as quickly as possible, because by doing so, you can hook them. They downloaded your app for a reason. They had a problem. You presented a solution. They either came from a web link or through the App Store, and now they are ready to experience your solution. So show them. Say, hey, by downloading my app, I first thank them. Thank you for being here. We're excited. Here's what the app does. Here's how the app helps you. Here is what you can do to solve your problem right now. Now, depending on the type of application that you've built, you may not be able to solve their problem right in that moment, but be sure to provide a very quick win in the first interaction. Get them to achieve a very small result, even if it's not the complete solution to their problem. If it gets them to do one step towards their problem, that is a big step in getting a solid piece of value. So again, here's an example of a pretty good initial screen. So the thing here is you want to remind the users why they've downloaded your app. In this screenshot, it's a money app. And the biggest thing is people downloaded this app in order to send money quickly. They want to have the ease and convenience in sending money overseas. And this has an excellent intro screen in where it says, transfer money abroad for less. That's it. It also has a testimonial. Now, testimonials, if you use them right, can act as a selling point of your app. Even though they've downloaded your app, you still have to sell them along the way. Until they've given you money in the form of either an in-app purchase or in the form of attention over time, continue to sell your application in the onboarding process until they reach that point. And even after that, even after they've reached that point, you want to take the time to also sell them throughout multiple points in your app. While you're showcasing your value proposition, you want to show them what they can do. You can do this in a couple of ways. I like the guided experience. I come from the gaming world, and when you start a game, you go through a tutorial level. And that tutorial level essentially orients you and gets you to the point where you know what the gist of the game is. The best tutorial level that was ever created was the Super Mario World level. If you study that level, it goes through the mechanics of the entire game in the level. You learn how to jump. You learn that if you hit a Goomba, you're going to get hurt. You learn that in the first frame, everybody's played this game. In the first frame, you get a power-up, you can get hurt, you could jump, you could break bricks. Do the same thing in your app. Let them know that they can do the most important things in a very short period of time. Again, getting them to that initial step is great. Even if you don't walk them through, show them what is possible. You can do this through video. You can do this through setting a future pacing them and setting a future checklist of things that they need to do in the future, and just ensuring that you're showing them and not just, let me move this. Well, in the bottom, it says show, don't tell. You're showing them and not just holding their hand. So again, you can do walkthroughs, welcome messages, introductory images and videos, and just understand that the reason why you're doing this is because people actually don't care about the features that you have. I know that as startup founders, we spend a lot of time going through and saying, hey, this feature is going to be awesome. It's going to help people. It checks off like a lot of like technical or like internal things, but people don't care about that. They really care about ensuring that they hit the benefits. Talk about the benefits. Say you will save time. You will save money. Your relationships will be better. People will look at you in a different way. Show them how your features tie to these core, I guess, motivations. And that will create a strong emotional connection to your value proposition. Again, show them. Don't just tell. As you're doing this and as you're going through the benefits allow you to highlight your core features. Again, I'm showcasing a couple of screenshots for those who are just listening. Again, transfer money abroad for less, save money. 7 times better than big banks at shopping cart fraud. So again, save money. Get more from your money with a Revolt account. Again, more and more. These are just the initial walkthrough screens that show, okay, here's what you're going to get by using our app. Here are the benefits. And again, this is not app-based. This is not, we are able to do this, we can do that, we can do this. It's all tied to the user and the things that they will be able to accomplish. So it's, again, they don't care about your actual features. They only care about the things that you're able to do. It sounds selfish, but it's not. So again, how are you going to do this? You could use section sliders. You could do guided tours. Guided tours are my favorite. We like to do guided tours because it reinforces the benefit by having them go through the process. I briefly mentioned future pacing and setting up goals for the user. When a user downloads your app, if you have a really good analytics and tracking system, you're going to know the top 5 to 10 actions that a person does to spend the most money in your application. Once you realize what those things are, you're going to want to get all of your users to do those things. And you do that by setting up goals for them in the future. And those goals can essentially just be things that they check off. Hey, set up an account, add a profile picture to your account, send a message, send a future reminder. If you're able to put all of those tasks in a checklist that you put in, you make it very visible, make it skippable. If they don't want to do it, they don't have to do it. But if you say 5 out of 10 tasks complete, as humans, we like to if something is incomplete, we're going to gravitate towards completing that thing. So put it up there, put the 5 to 10 tasks that people need to do in order to get the most value of your app. And then you'll see an increase in conversions. You'll see that people will have more success in your application. And that's what you really want to do. Find the top users, figure out the things that they do to get success, duplicate that to all of your other users in your application so that you are able to provide a great experience. Again, these techniques introduce users to different parts of your application. So again, people are mobile. They are in the laundromat. They're at the park with their kids. Sometimes they're apping and driving, which you shouldn't do. And because of that, you want to make sure that they're able to see the benefits in your application. So make sure you use these highlights to ensure that they can know what your app does. And the other thing that you want to do is ask for the right information at the right time. There have been countless apps that I've used and where the first thing that they do is they ask me for my push notification. I don't know what the app does. I don't know, why they need this information, but asking me for it. Another poor use of just asking for the right information at the wrong time is a lot of the times we're in 2024 and there is the new IDFA system in where apps need to ask you whether or not they can track you offline. And I know that sounds scary and weird, but you really need to ask that at the right time. The right time is never upon opening the app. Now, there are a few exceptions in where this works. If your core value proposition is geolocation and showing things on a map, yes, absolutely ask for that information. But before you ask for that information, let them know exactly why you need to use that information. Hey, we need your location information. And even, yes, you can put this in the pop-up on Android and iOS. You can put this in the pop-up and say, hey, we need your geolocation to do X, Y, and Z. Nobody reads that. Don't put it there. This pop-up here in where it says, hey, don't miss anything from Breaker. Get notified when a friend sends you a message and when your favorite show publishes a new episode. Do it like this. There are a couple of reasons why. On iOS, if somebody says no, you may not get the opportunity to ask them again. Control the no. Control the ability for them to say no in your application. And then later on, you'll have the ability to go in and say, okay, this person said no, they've used the app over the course of a month or two. Let's ask them again. Because when you say no, you may not be able to pop that notification pop-up for some time. Same thing with managing advertising. Same thing with asking for geolocation. Present an initial pop-up first so that you get their consent, and then do the native pop-up so that you can capture that information. Make it clear why you're going to use their data. Show the benefit of using their data before getting the data from them. Again, use custom pop-outs to add additional context to permissions in order to prepare the user to accept the permissions. Allow the users to opt out. Not everybody wants push notifications. I know that if I download an app, I don't necessarily want the push notifications until I know that it's going to give me a lot of value. Users need to feel in control. Make them feel in control. And if they feel in control and they love the features of your app, they will tell other people about your app and they'll have a great experience. Yeah. And finally, you want to keep the process simple and segmented. What this means is you don't need to do the onboarding process in one go. Break it up in multiple steps. You can create different onboarding flows for different processes and different features. And you can capture the context of the and present an onboarding flow that makes sense for them. For instance, if we like to do a lot of deep linking in the apps that we use, and we use Branch for a lot of that. Deep linking is the process of having a link that either routes a user into the app directly or it takes them into the App Store. And from the App Store, they're able to then do something interesting in your app. And with this process, we're able to control the flow. We're able to control where and what the user does on the initial application launch. So let's say we have a client called Pickle Play, and they do a lot of people find pickleball courts and they share pickleball courts and they share their events and they do a lot of sharing. In that initial onboarding process, we're able to go in, capture their information, get them to where they need to go, and they are right to the value that they needed from the link. So if there's an event, that they wanted to attend. They go in, they create their account, they go through the initial onboarding, and then immediately, bam, they're in the event. If they're in a club or group, same thing. They go in, now they're in the context of a club and group. With each different route into the app, it provides different access to value. Now, to do this right, you want to do a lot of testing. You want to test your onboarding with different audiences. Different audiences generally mean different contexts, and the different contexts that you use or allow you to create a better experience for that user. Research and find out and use analytics to find the best use cases for your app. Though it's, bonus points for getting the best use cases that provide the greatest value for your customers and the greatest value for you as well. Use analytics to measure the increase and decrease of your feature usage. Check this on a monthly or quarterly basis and you're golden. Remember that humans are using your app. They have behaviors. They do different things. Just make sure that you are measuring and getting them to what they need. Keep it simple. So that's pretty much it for our podcast today. If you have any questions, feel free to email me or follow me on LinkedIn. Please share the show. I really enjoy hearing your feedback. I love getting your emails. It also gives me topic ideas for the podcast. And there are times as business owners, one of the interesting things, even for me, is that we know a lot of stuff. We have a lot of expertise, and you could wake me up at 4 a.m. and say, hey, Ken, tell me about onboarding. And I'll be groggy and say, you got to do this and that. Sometimes we forget. And one of the ways that we don't forget, or one of the ways that can trigger our creative juices, is if people ask questions. Feel free to ask me questions. I love to hear from you. Keep building, keep innovating, keep doing what you need to do to build products that people love. And I'm signing off, and we'll talk soon.